Facilitate your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast as you're driving along in your car or your truck. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the idea that seems to be expanding and growing almost by the day, that if you kill someone or murder someone or maim them, beat them near to death or something like that, but you say, well, I only did it because they were a Nazi, then that's okay. That's not only permissible, but it's possibly desirable. You're almost performing a public service. You should get a medal for it, not be arrested. Now, just looking at some of the people who over the last year or so who have been arrested for killing or maiming people, they seem to be almost incredulous as to why they're being charged and with murder. But I was only murdering a Nazi. I mean, but it's a fellow citizen and it's a rando passerby. But the person's a Nazi. I mean, they are. I mean, how do you know that? So I'll come back to the ideology behind where the universities, the high schools, the public service, in fact, the entire globalist establishment has ginned up and whipped up this idea that we're surrounded by swastika waving Nazis. They're everywhere, doing all sorts of oppression things. And we have to fight back against these people. We won't accept a fascist state. We won't be told what to do by those Nazis. Hitler is personally running around the streets waving a swastika and doing Nazi salutes. And we have to fight back again. We have to fight back because these Nazis are everywhere. They are. I mean, exactly where? Can you point them out? Well, no, but they just are everywhere. They're always just around the corner, just under the bed, just in the closet. But, so I'm thinking of one here where an Antifa activist who's already been ginned up and whipped up with this idea he's fighting Nazis. And so this little tubby little white guy comes by. He's just driving by. They stop the car, pull this very unfit, he couldn't fight back if he wanted to, this guy, the white guy. They pull him out and he gets kicked almost to death. Now, the guy, the main, not all of them, by the way, but the main guy who was involved in the kicking and the stomping on the dude's head, the white guy's head, he was the guy was brown. Fortunately, it was caught on camera, so he was identified and charged and in prison. I thought he got rather light sentence under the circumstances, given the viciousness and how it was unnecessary. But he was unrepentant. He was, well, I don't know why you're arresting me. I was only fighting Nazis. I was only trying to kill a Nazi. I mean, Nazis are everywhere and they're evil people. So why wouldn't you want to kill somebody that evil? And I was trying to kill, so I was helping society by doing it. But you're trying to commit murder. Don't you think that should be a crime? Well, kind of, but not if you're doing it to Nazis. We all know how bad Nazis are. I mean, I see it every day on the news and on television. I see it. I was taught this in school. I go to a brown activist group and they tell me about Nazis everywhere and how bad they are and how they're going to kill me if they can. I'm only trying to kill them before they kill me. That's what the Nazis and so on and so on. So they've got this insane delusional rationale. You could sort of say that about anybody. Anybody with red hair is trying to kill you. Anybody who's left-handed is trying to. Anybody who's above the height of 5'6" is and so you could just do anything. So it's just run out of control, this, and there are people who are affected by it, not. Now, someone like me can look at it and go, that is absolute nonsense, and I'm unaffected. But simpler people who their meaning in life is, oh yeah, I got to fight back against those Nazis because they're everywhere. I've been told, I've heard that's true. So. And another one I'm sort of thinking of, and again, it's these Antifa types that they're trying to burn down a building because they think Nazis might use that building. So I'm allowed to burn it down because of Nazis. Nazis. See, I'm only fighting back against Nazis. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just fighting back against Nazis. Now the list could go on here of people that have been think that murder is okay, bashing's okay, arson's okay, murdering's okay because hey, I'm fighting back against Nazis. And also, if you look at, say, some of the juries that are stacked in particularly in the United States, but elsewhere now, Britain and so on, it's spread. Every ideological activist type justice has spread now pretty much all over the Western world. This idea that if someone holds views, and it's a cascading effect. I question mass migration. Well, if you question it, it means you're opposed to it. If you're opposed to it, that's something that a fascist would do. If you're a fascist, it means you're a Nazi. If you're a Nazi, it means you're Hitler. And so they're able to sort of walk that through. Now, this is very much the ideological thing. In the case of, say, the communist Soviet Union. Well, if you read a Shakespeare play, Shakespeare's one of the most prominent playwrights in the world, but it doesn't matter. If you read a Shakespeare play, it means you have bourgeois capitalist tendencies. We say that's what it means. And if you have bourgeois capitalist tendencies, it means you are not a good communist. If you're not a good communist, it means you're a counter-revolutionary. You're trying to turn back the progress of the revolution. If you're a counter-revolutionary, that therefore means you are an enemy of the people. And if you're an enemy of the people, we're now able to say you're a subversive element. We can arbitrarily arrest you. We can beat you up. We can interrogate you, kick the shit out of you. We can put you in a prison camp for as long as the fuck we feel like it. And we can, once you're there, we can get IQ 75 guards and tell them that you're an evil manifestation of some sort, has to be beaten to a pulp every day, and so on and so forth. So we can now do all that because we have declared you to be bad. And once we declare you to be this bad, then you have no legal rights. You have no standing. There is nothing to protect you. We can now do whatever we want to you, and we can do that with impunity. So this is very how ideological sort of justice and ideological punishment works, and how these people who do these sort of things, burn buildings down, murder people, bash them up, and so on. But I'm only doing it to Nazis. So they can't really understand. Even the people who are arrested for and put in prison for, say, some of the more aggressive climate change protests. Now, they may have been already arrested 5 or 6 times and got off with a warning or something like that, but they still do it. And they seem genuinely bewildered and mystified. But I'm only fighting the people that oppose the climate change thing. They're Nazis. I'm only fighting against Nazis. I'm only stopping Nazis. That's all I'm doing. Why are you putting me in prison? I've done nothing wrong. I'm fighting Nazis. But we need to understand, I think, the complicity of the state in this, of pretending that there are Nazis everywhere, whether it be, that insane moron Keir Starmer in the UK, so Nazi right-wing thugs and this sort of stuff. And this dehumanizes, but it also dehumanizes them in a way that means they have no legal rights. And once you go down that path, then you can arbitrarily attack any group or go after any group using the power of the state, the police, the courts, and so on. And they have no effective legal rights. Now, this sort of ideological justice, and I've mentioned this many times before, I saw this firsthand in the divorce courts. He is the evil oppressor, she is the helpless victim, and that's it. And so, therefore, all punishments must be against him, and all benefits must be for her. And this is so that the outcomes are already ideologically predetermined. And so this means they can treat him horribly and do, steal all his money, steal all his property, arbitrarily put him in prison. For example, there's a guy who he had some motorbike parts, and he allegedly, no one knows, he sold those parts, or it was alleged he sold those parts, but they couldn't find how much money he got for them, if indeed they were ever sold. So the judge in that case simply reversed the burden of proof. Okay, I arbitrarily revert along ideological lines. I reverse the burden of proof. You now have to prove that you did not sell those. We don't have to prove that you did. You have to prove you did not sell them, and you did not make. Must prove that. And if you don't, then you've got 5 minutes to prove it. If you don't, I'll put you in prison. Bingo, the guy's in prison. Now, his legal rights have been trampled on left, right, and centre. We see this in all ideological laws. We see whether it's the January 6th type stuff, ideological rights, or Trump's rights in New York, that ridiculous sham show trial in New York, or for that matter, the people being imprisoned currently in the UK. God knows what they're being threatened with in order to plead guilty. I mean, for goodness sakes. So this idea of creating this fictitious evil enemy that's lurking everywhere, and that whatever you do to that enemy, whatever you do to that evil force is acceptable. This is permeating the minds of some simple folks and some people who have real institutional power, as in the police and the courts and so on. And we look how politicized that Rowley guy is in the UK, that senior police officer. I mean, could you get anyone more politicized than him? I mean, for goodness sakes, talk about ideological capture. Now, the first thing we need to protect is people's legal rights. It doesn't matter whether you think they've committed the most heinous crimes in the universe ever. They still have legal rights. And you want a situation where, as long as you uphold legal rights, then no group can ever be gone after by the state, because the legal rights are sacrosanct. And if you want to go after people, then you have to prove it with evidence, tested in an independent court of law with proper due legal process. Now, that's pretty much all been abandoned across the Western world now. Anyone that opposes globalization is a Nazi, and then they have no legal rights. So this demonization process is very targeted for political reasons, hence the politicization of the law. But it's a terrible step, and one that's infected a lot of people. If you have a lot of people, which you do in the Western world, people running around say it's okay to murder someone because I say that they're a Nazi. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's insane. But that's where we're at the moment. Ponder that, if you will. You've been Tacitus today. You're Pushback Channel. Thank you for listening.